am Courtney Mercer. I'm the Executive Director of Downtown New Jersey. Welcome to our mostly monthly forum series. Today we have Dr. Susan Adelizi Schmidt, who's president of Suasion Communications, and Jaime Izarrieta Varia, founder of Storefront Mastery, joining us, and they're going to be talking all about downtown experience. But before I hand it over to them, you know I have to give you our little spiel and commercial first. So for those of you who do not know downtown New Jersey, and we do have some new names here that I'm excited to see, we are a statewide nonprofit organization. We provide education and advocacy all about downtown revitalization. We do that through a lot of education, topical newsletter articles, technical assistance. We do roundtables and these kind of webinars, as well as an annual conference that is our premier event of the year, always a great networking and educational opportunity. We also advocate. We do a policy watch. We provide policy advisories as needed, and we also go down and testify before the legislature and or speak to the governor's office, NJEDA, et cetera, on your behalf. And then finally, we do like to recognize our members through an annual award ceremony. We do member spotlights as part of the newsletter, and we also will share good news that comes from you all on social media. So we don't have any March forum set up yet, in the works, to be decided, but stay tuned. Everybody who's on here is on our newsletter list now. So you will get an email when I have something set up for March, and hopefully April. Try to get like 2 done at a time. But all of our past forums, if it was a webinar or if it was recordable, we did record. And so here's a list of some of the recent stuff we've done in the past couple, 2-3 years. So if anything's interesting, please feel free to go onto our website and you can watch the video, you can grab the PowerPoint, etc. And I'm going to put the link actually is in the chat. But one other thing, so for these forums we do put on mostly for free, but for those of you, we are a member supported organization. So if you are not a member, we do ask that you make a small nominal donation of just $10 to support our effort to put on this type of programming. And I put that link in the chat as well. If you're not a member and haven't made that donation, we would really appreciate it because it basically, pays for me to pull this stuff together and do the advertising and all that. So with that, I am going to hand it over to Dr. Susan Adelizi Schmidt first.
So much, Courtney. Good morning, everyone. It's awesome to be here. I'm so excited to present to you our slideshow here on elevating downtown experiences. And Jaime, the storefront guy, and I have put together an amazing presentation for you. I think you're going to find it to be very helpful. This QR code that you see is actually to Suasion Communications Group. Suasion is my agency. I'm the president, and I have an incredible team that I work with every day. I feel like I'm just incredibly blessed to be able to work with such great, amazing, creative professionals. And we're based in Summers Point. We are also in Haddonfield, New Jersey, and we've been in business for 17 years. We're a full-service communications agency. We do it all, from full-scale campaigns, advertising, social media, public relations, website, creative design, crisis communications, you name it, we do it. And we're excited to be here to present a little bit about what we do with downtowns and municipalities, and just to give you some framework and some background information. Next. So sometimes people ask me what I do for a living and what's a day in the life look like as a PR marketing agency president. And I'm happy to say I get to do a lot of cool stuff. It's a lot of work in the office, of course, but I also get out and work with amazing people. And this picture actually was taken in Wildwood, New Jersey, and we work with the Wildwoods. We have for many years, promoting various aspects of that town. And who you see here with me are it's the production crew from Plum Productions, and the guy with the glasses, the sunglasses, is actually George Clark. And George is famous actually in the UK. You may have heard of him. He is actually a prolific architect. And he and his crew came to kind of scout the Wildwoods and to focus on, of course, all the incredible architecture there and all of the neon signs and the doo-wop. And they ended up doing a whole episode on Americana and included the Wildwoods as part of that. And this was actually just released a couple of weeks ago. I'll put the link in the chat after I'm done my presentation, but it's actually a part of George Clark's Adventures in Americana and airing on Channel 4 in the UK. So this is just one aspect of what we do on a daily basis in working with the media, bringing a lot of our towns, businesses, and organizations that we work with into the spotlight, and it's incredibly fun. Next. So what I want to talk about today is some of the framework that we put together for towns, downtowns, municipalities, and even our other organizations and businesses. And this usually starts with brand discovery. So brand discovery is, think of it in terms of like an archaeological dig. It distinguishes a town from the rest and basically is a summary of all the things that make a town really unique and special. So the assets may include attractions, recreational opportunities, dining, shopping, downtowns, places to stay, beverage tourism, historical aspects, architectural aspects, educational experiences, which are always fun, the arts, tours, and entertainment venues. So really the thought here is to take inventory of everything that you have going on in your town. And even if it isn't specifically in your bid or in your business district or your downtown, that's okay too, because honestly, people don't think about bids. They don't think about these lines. They just want to come to cool places and experience them. And so it's really important to look at where your brand kind of fits within all of that in terms of the visitor's mind and the person that might be coming in to enjoy. Okay, next. So a little bit more on brand discovery and looking at all of the assets. So I named several of them in the last slide, but don't forget the convenience amenities as well. Transit, major highway access, parking is huge. Many of you I hear in our downtown New Jersey conversations, complaining about, the lack of parking or just, not having enough access to parking. If you have it, you want to tout that. If you have easy access, through transit, through major highways, you want to tout that as well. And then just the overall quality of life is important too. If you have excellent recreational facilities, schools, parks, these are all things that you want to be touting as well through your brand discovery process. And then it's a matter of taking all of that and packaging it up into a brand promise and communicating that through every channel. We call it omni-channel. So you want to think about how you're going to take your story and then pull it through every possible channel that you have access to. And of course, we're going to go through all of these, but this is PR, it's digital, it's marketing, it's social, your website, blogs, podcasts, e-newsletters, and so forth. There's just so many different ways to take your message and pull it through. But the important thing first is to know who you are. If you don't know who you are as a downtown or as an organization, it's really important to do that R&D first and to really kind of lay that out. That's something that our agency does a lot of with our clients. Sometimes it's loose, when they first come to us, they're not quite sure how they want to package it up, what things that they want to tout. Maybe there's a little bit of this or that, but what you really want to do when you're branding is look at everything more holistically, and then be able to communicate that through all of your channels. So think of your brand as a promise. I didn't mention, but I'm also a professor at Stockton University, and I teach integrated marketing communications. And this is, one of the most foundational things that I tell my students is, when you think about a brand, a logo is a component of that. But that's not the brand. The brand is the promise. It's every little kind of micro moment and experience that your downtown or that your organization is giving someone, and you want to definitely try to make that emotional connection with them as well. Next, Courtney. So one of the towns that we have worked with is Summers Point. We're actually based in Summers Point, and when we were first hired many years ago by the Summers Point Economic Development Advisory Commission, the EDAC, I was working with this fabulous guy that was heading it up. His name is Lou DeScioli. Unfortunately, he has since passed away, but he was just a dynamo. And he was really the catalyst to bring us on board in the first place. So we're doing PR, we're getting lots of coverage, and I'm like, Lou, I really don't have a brand to work with. Give me the give me what I need to be able to create this brand for Summers Point. Essentially, what I had as far as an identity at that point was a municipal seal. Now, municipal seals do have their place in the universe, and they're pretty much, they have a ton of history and a ton of connection with the municipalities that they are associated with. But quite frankly, a lot of times they're just not that sexy. A lot of them have pilgrims and things from yesteryear. I know I see some smiles here, so you know what I'm talking about. So Summers Point does have that, and they still do have their municipal seal. But what we created here, and you can see it in this sign, is a fresh new brand that really is a great identity. So when people are driving into town and they're thinking about this town, it's a vibrant look. And so you want to think about the logo. What colors you're going to use. We selected this blue, green, yellow combination because we felt that it best represented the land, the sea, everything that's going on here in Summers Point. And the shore starts here. When you look at taglines, you want to definitely make them exclusive to your destination, to your downtown. Try to stay away from generic sayings, and I see this a lot where people will say something like, there's something for everyone. Well, there's something for everyone everywhere. So try to come up with some words that best describe your particular destination. Something that's compelling, something that's going to instigate some spark in the visitor's imagination, and also pride among your residents. Next, Courtney. So I could spend an entire session just talking about all these components, but I just have one slide kind of dedicated to each. Websites and apps, of course, are a must-do. You want to make sure whatever you do with your branding is pulled through, of course, your website, your apps, your digital, social, and so forth. So you want to make sure that if you were going to put everything down together, that everything is cohesive. So it should look like one big happy family in terms of the overall look. There shouldn't be a different look on your app than there is on your social media. I mean, it should all kind of go together and be in sync. So SEO is really the main thing that you want to think about with websites. Yes, having a great, robust looking website is awesome, as this one from Summers Point is. But more importantly is SEO, search engine optimization. You need to have that done. In my opinion, it's best done in the build of the site. So think of it like a house. You're building a house. So you want to make sure that all the infrastructure is sound and tight, plumbing and so forth. The same thing goes with websites. So you want to make sure that your page titles and your keywords and all of the aspects of the administrative side of the site are really strong. And that's really going to help people be able to find you. The other component that you want to think about with websites are having blogs and and FAQs are really popular as well. If you look at, what people go to first, it's usually the FAQs. So, just having that list of, what people frequently ask about your destination, that's a great thing to have right there in the navigational bar. Okay, Courtney, next slide. And then I do want to touch on the community connection with your brand. You want to make sure that you have kind of everyone in the canoe with you. If you're doing a rebrand, and we've done this with a few different towns, you want to make sure that you get the key players around the table, not too many players, because then it becomes very difficult, too many cooks in the kitchen. But if you have, I would say about 6 or 7 key individuals from the town that take part in this, it could be a focus group, it could just be a committee, but get some great brains around the table that really understand the town and that can help to formulate that branding. And obviously highlighting all of the things that are happening in the town. You see a lot here happening in the downtown in Wildwood. They have really come such a long way since they opened up Byrne Plaza a few years back. Their farmers market, they just have a ton of great events going on there. And what happens when you have all of these events and you have a well-branded town is that really creates a lot of town pride. Branded merchandise, if you're able to get that into the mix as well, is a great way to promote the brand. I've even seen some towns actually selling town branded merchandise at their stores. This is just another great way to promote the brand and to create a lot of pride within a town. Next, Courtney. And then social media. Again, I could spend hours talking about this, but I have one slide. And I just want to mention that, even though we're talking about a multi-channel approach here, you also have to keep in mind that some people only will get their information from social media. So, you want to make sure that you have really information-rich social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, X, LinkedIn. I mean, there's just so many platforms that are out there. Try to use video as much as you can. Stories, of course, are prioritized. Reels are prioritized. TikTok has just, become almost a must-do for a lot of businesses and towns as well. So what I always suggest to people is don't bite off more than you can chew. Try to pick the platforms that are going to work best for your demographics. And as you master one, then take on another one. If you're trying to manage 4 or 5 platforms at a time and you don't have the bandwidth to do it, everything is probably going to suffer because of that. So better to have 1 or 2 platforms that really resonate with your demographics, as opposed to having 5 or 6. And also I want to mention paid social ads are amazing. There are, Meta, of course, has the ad manager, and you can also do boosted posts. These are great ways to increase reach and to communicate with people that are outside of your existing followers. The other thing I wanted to mention that I don't have on this slide, and I'll also put in the chat, is I just want to mention Claritas.com. I'm not sure if any of you have used it before. This is another awesome marketing tool. This will help you identify your demographics. It'll tell you about not only the demographics, but some of the behavioral attributes of your town. All you have to do is put in your zip code, and it's really fun. I actually have my students do this when they do their marketing plans. They'll use Claritas, but you will get a ton of great data from Claritas, and it's absolutely free. They do have, of course, a paid component to it, but you can use the free component to get a lot of great information as well. Okay, Courtney? And then e-newsletters. Don't forget some of the more traditional means of getting the word out. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, we have an app now, so we don't need to do a newsletter. I disagree. I think that e-newsletters, just email blasts in general, if they're done well, with a great subject line, with really robust content, and they're sent out in a very kind of deliberate, strategic way. You don't want to be over emailing. Nobody, we all deal with that. Nobody wants to be over emailed. But I can't tell you the open rates on some of these emails that we at least that we publish. Sometimes they're 50, 60% open rates. I mean, it's amazing. People just gobble up this information. And you have to keep in mind too, again, going back to your demographics, even though a lot of people are on the apps, a lot of people are on email as well. And if they're looking for information, looking for stuff to do on a weekend or, just different events and holidays and things like that, there's nothing better than having that email come into your inbox and give you all of those fresh ideas. All right, Courtney. All right, and I do want to talk about PR. I had mentioned a little bit about that on the first slide that Plum Productions had come in and done that fabulous story on doo-wop and the Wildwoods. But we work on PR every day with our clients. Don't ever underestimate the power of PR. It is fabulous. PR is not something that comes that easy, though. A lot of times people think that it's like advertising. Advertising actually is a lot easier. You just buy it, you put the ad together, you know it's going to run. With PR, you actually have to earn it. You got to get in there. You got to know the writers. You got to know the producers. You have to reach out to influencers and get them engaged. And this takes a lot of elbow grease. It takes a lot of work, and it usually happens over time. Got a couple of highlights here. Downtown West Orange actually had just some phenomenal hits on News 12. At the end of December last year, we were able to work with Meg Brill and the folks from West Orange. She did a fabulous job in coordinating everything. But we had lots of coverage in the local downtown businesses with News 12. And then down below there, you'll see John Donio from the Wildwood Business Improvement District actually showing Kathy Toogood. Kathy actually works for the Times in the UK and showing her around the doo-wop Experience Museum. And PR is, I just can't say enough about it. It's really, to me, it's the crown jewel when it comes to branding. When you get story hits, this is somebody else that's saying you're good. That's really the difference, as opposed to you saying you're good, it's somebody else saying that you're good. And it really does build a brand, tremendously. And I highly recommend it. All right, Courtney. And then marketing and advertising campaigns, online digital marketing, ad streaming, geofencing, Google ads, blog campaigns. There's so many ways to reach people these days. Just make sure that you have clearly defined objectives, targets, tactics, and that you maintain sustained messaging. Oftentimes I'll see, like there's a lot of messaging and then it dies down. Like you got to keep it going. And you have to be consistent with it. And also use your residents, use the people. Testimonials are awesome to be able to, incorporate some of that into your marketing is always going to help. And I also want to mention too, even though we talked so much about digital and social, don't forget all of the traditional advertising strategies. They're still out there. They're still working as well. I love billboards. I love bus wraps. Think about the multiplier effect. So if you see something online and then, all of a sudden you're driving, you see that billboard and it's connecting all of those dots. And oftentimes it takes, several impressions for someone to finally put have that aha moment and put it all together. But if you're just hitting someone on social media and you're not using some of the other aspects that are available to you, you may not be getting the same impact that you could be otherwise. Courtney? And of course, I had to throw in a slide here about AI. Artificial intelligence is just, it's everywhere. It's in every conversation I seem to be having, particularly with my students. And, we're all trying to just get our hands around it. ChatGPT, of course, is, I think, one of the more popular ones right now. there's Jasper, there's Claude. We just had that incredible presentation last, I guess it was last month already with Placer. There are many, many platforms that are out there. All I can say is this: use them carefully. I often will tell my students, if you go to ChatGPT and you cut and paste out of there, I will know it in a minute. It's just it's great for ideas, but I feel like, that nothing beats authenticity. Nothing beats a great creative mind. And doing your own writing is, in my opinion, always going to beat what's going to come out of these platforms. But they're growing in popularity. I wanted to mention them. There are tons of other solutions out there. We use Canva. This presentation that you're seeing right now was built on Canva, and we love it. We love it for social, for presentations, really for all of our graphic design. And Canva actually incorporates AI in it as well. AI is not new. It's just becoming, more and more popular. AI has actually been around since I think the 40s or 50s, but it's really just coming into its own as of late. So embrace it. I love it. I think it's, incredibly fun. And, I also would say, though, use it with caution. And, nothing beats someone's creativity, whatever's coming from your brain. You may want to massage whatever's coming out of a platform, and just, and keep that in mind. All right, Courtney. And then lastly, and this will kind of dovetail into Jaime's piece of the presentation, which is experiential tourism. I just can't say enough about thinking about your towns, your downtowns, as this place where not only your residents will come, but that people will come from the UK, they will come from other countries, they will come from other towns, if you package it up for them. So highlighting your assets, highlighting all of your local spots, the public parks, the local transit, the architecture, the character of your local community is so incredibly important. And this will really help to build your brand into that must-be experienced type of place that people want to go. The other thing I wanted to mention here too is identifying who are your brand ambassadors, right? So when we work with, and I talked a lot about the PR work that we do with some of our clients, understanding in your town that every town has a cast of characters, right? And you know what I'm talking about. There's always those people that they're either the business person that's been there forever, maybe they're the new business person that just came into town. Maybe it's your mayor if you're lucky, or maybe it's some other public official that's great at speaking, or someone that maybe is very knowledgeable about the arts or history. Use those people. They are great spokespeople. However, I'll say, give them the talking points, give them direction on how to talk to the media. But if you coach them, if you put those folks together, and really identify them ahead of time before you have to, kind of put them out in front of anyone, you will see that they will help you to build your brand. Courtney? And then lastly, I just wanted to give my contact information again, my email's here, phone number, QR code to my website, and all my social media. I hope you will connect with me. I so look forward to talking with you all. And next, I have great pride in introducing my friend, Jaime, the storefront guy. Full transparency, Jaime is actually a client of Suasion's. And I have had the distinct pleasure of working with Jaime over the last few months. We have brainstormed on many different conversations about downtowns. And I had this epiphany one day and called up Courtney and said, you know what, I think Jaime and I are going to do this presentation. What do you think? She said, yes. And here we are. So without further ado, I introduce my friend, Jaime, the storefront guy, who's going to give you just some great information and great perspective. Jaime?
Thank you. Can you hear me? Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I'm very grateful, of course, to Susan, to Courtney. My talk is going to be about experiences. So yeah, dovetailing on what Susan said last about the downtown experience. My agency is called Storefront Mastery. That QR code you see there, I think that's going to take you to my Tap bio, and then there'll be some links there which you can access to get in touch with us and learn more about what we do. We are basically a creative agency. We work with local organizations, with place managers, bids, main streets, downtowns, and we guide them into coordinating the fantastic experiences that the individual businesses are already providing. So that's what we do. And let's begin the presentation. Next, please. My name is Jaime. I am the founder of Storefront Mastery. I have founded many other things, most of which have failed. This is my family. I have founded a museum. I've founded a city department. I founded a city once. I've founded architectural practice, and many of these things have failed. It's not great to admit that they have failed, but it's amazing that I have learned so many lessons from those failures, and also from some of the successes. I co-founded an independent bookstore. So I'm also a small business owner, and this has been running for over 18 years now, and I am very proud to say that is the most beautiful bookstore in my hometown. So next, please. And so the most important lesson I have learned is compounded awesomeness. Every single little or big thing you do compounds awesomeness. And the next thing you will do, it will be great. And this is very relevant for what I'm going to talk about. Next, please. I keep saying one of my mantras is that every Main Street business is a hospitality business. When anybody decides to open a business that is fronting a street or fronting a sidewalk in a main street or downtown setting, that business becomes first and foremost a hospitality business. You have to perform. The entire downtown is a stage, and each business has to perform. It's very important. Now, next, please. What does that even mean? The business of Main Street, of course, is to attract foot traffic, provide unique, memorable experiences, elevate the entire community. And this is, if you think of it, the what individual rides do in amusement parks. They support the entire amusement park. In the same way, this is what local businesses are doing to support the downtown experience. Next, please. Who are the best at creating these retail attractions? Of course, Disney, IKEA, Starbucks, Nike, Aesop, and Shinola. Of course, you have heard of the first four. I don't know if you may or may not have heard of the Aesop and Shinola. Aesop is a cosmetic company that works all around the world and super high end. And their distinctiveness is that no two stores are alike. They have a very strong branding, but they give each store to a fabulous designer. So every store is a world on its own. However, they're able to maintain the brand. And Shinola is the symbol of the rebirth of Detroit. They are a manufacturing company, very proud to be part of the rebirth of Detroit, and also coming from there with lots of roots. So it's very interesting. Next, please. How do they do this? Disney, of course, stays in character throughout the visit. If someone is going through the Magic Kingdom or Epcot or whatever, one of the Disney parks, everything stays in character. The music is part of the character. The people who are there, the cast, they call it the cast. They don't even call it the employees, they call it the cast. Everybody is in character. And you really feel like you're part of the entire park. And this is amazing. IKEA, of course, everyone tries their beds, everyone tries the couches, everyone tries the kitchens, and it is just amazing interaction that people have there. They invite you to try someone else's home. Starbucks, of course, you go in and everything smells delicious, and it's an elevated coffee experience. Some of us are more keen to search for local coffee experience. However, it is very important to learn the lessons from Starbucks. And one of the biggest lessons from Starbucks is they built that elevated coffee experience when coffee was very, very different. And now that everything has caught up, they have come up with a new brand, which is the roaster, the special roastery or something they call it. And they even went to Milan, one of the coffee capitals of the world. Everybody is very particular about coffee in Italy and also in Milan. And they succeeded. They have this store there and it's working. Why? Because it is really an experience when you go in. It's much more than you just go in and have coffee. Of course, Nike. I live next to a Nike store in South Beach in Miami. And they had this little corner where people would go and paint their own shoes. So you could make your own shoe, they would finish it up for you, and you would leave the store with your new pair of shoes that you made. Nike shoes, but made by you. It's a personalization of the experience. It takes people and brings them up to the same level of these amazing sneaker makers, and you're being part of the whole thing. So it's interactive and it's personal. Aesop, of course, the most important thing is how they retain the brand narrative, they retain the brand values and the character in unique stores. So you don't need all your stores to look exactly the same as many chains do, even repeating the floor plan. There's a few that actually repeat the floor plan. You don't need that. You can achieve that with very different strategies. And of course, Shinola, they show you the manufacturing on site. They show you the pride. They show you the stories, and they are very successful in doing this. Next, please. Now, how do we replicate that in downtown? Many of those stories that I told you before, they are at the mall. Maybe they are in airports. Maybe they are in different places that are not necessarily downtown. I use a 3-point system to bring the lessons from those stores, from those people who have spent millions and millions of dollars in creating these experiences, and they also very generous, and they publish those experiences. So there's a great wealth of information that you can consume and learn about how they do these things. So I've brought it down as a 3-point program to help bring those experiences to downtown. Number one is the ideation, in which we get together and we look at the assets. It's pretty much the same general idea that Susan talked about. We look at the place's assets. We look at how those assets will help us tell a story. We look at specific problems that they may have or issues that they may have, and how these great assets are going to help us solve them. Then we come up with great ideas that maybe the IKEAs, the Disneys, and the Shinolas have implemented before, but also that other downtowns have implemented before, that help bring people in. And then we come up with a very succinct action plan that will help people implement in the midterm, and then also quick wins. So we start telling the stories, we start crafting the story. What is it? What is your message? What is your vision? What is it that makes this downtown unique? We tell that story through design, through placemaking, sometimes through activations, sometimes through branding. And the staging, of course, it's very similar to when someone is selling a house. They bring a real estate specialist that will stage the house so it looks fantastic for the pictures. It is pretty much the same thing. It stages the entire downtown to look great. Next, please. And this is a success story that I really like to tell, because we succeeded greatly with this. This is in New Brunswick. This the business owner, the business is called Joyeria Minor. The owner is Yolanda, who you see there. On the top right corner, you see Yolanda and her husband. And they started, and he was making the jewelry, and she was selling the jewelry door to door. Then they got a small jewelry store, which you can see on the top center picture. And then she is a spectacularly hard worker, and she's incredibly smart. And she fits in something that I have been finding systematically. And this is that immigrant women make the best entrepreneurs and the hardest working entrepreneurs. Anyway, I divert. So Yolanda found eventually this storefront that you can see on the top left corner. and it was a clothing store. She bought the clothing store, and that's what you see in the center lower picture. And she turned it into this amazing, amazing jewelry experience. You go in and everything is fantastic. She comes in and talks to you, and she is just the kindest person ever. So this is more or less how the the top right picture is them next to the mayor of New Brunswick in the spectacular ribbon cutting that they had after they finished redoing the store. So the great part about this is that we started looking at the strengths of her business. We started looking at the possibilities that her business could have, and then she made the step and she staged it, and she produced that business. She executive produced that business to be a journey, and that is why it works. It works very well too. Next, please. And this is, of course, this is not very humble, the praise that the mayor of New Brunswick gave us. Next, please. Now, I want to give you 5 ideas that I see most of the people who are present today are place managers. You either work with Main Streets or bids or downtowns. So in the business of coordinating the great actions that local businesses make, maybe you also have a small business. So here are 5 ideas you can give local businesses today to change, to transform dramatically the downtown. Number 1 is activation of the sidewalk. Number 2 is bringing light, music, and cookies. Number 3 is controlling the path and offering a great trajectory through the downtown. Number 4 is pairings. And number 5 is the teachable skills. Next, please. So to activate the sidewalk, number 1 thing is that tables and chairs are not only for restaurants. There's always a chance that you can bring your store outside, bring the inside out, and tell people the awesomeness that is happening inside. That first picture you see there is a great story. My friend Mariana, she had a classical cinema hall, an art movie hall or something was called. Anyway, she probably had 2 or 3 people watching those movies. And we built a parklet. And this parklet was illegal at the time in the city. This was an illegal parklet. And it was funny because I was a city official and I was encouraging her to build an illegal parklet. When they came to shut her down, we intervened and said, please don't shut it down. We're building this. And eventually, after a lot of fighting, we got parklets approved in the city, which was a fantastic thing to do. Anyway, so she built this parklet and she brought people who were knitting. So this was a knitting club that she had every Tuesday at 5 p.m. People would come and knit whatever, and they would put some knitted things around the trees and just make the context great. The visibility was transformed dramatically. The interaction of the people with the movie hall, with the coffee shop that was supporting the movie hall, and with everything that was happening there was amazing. She duplicated, triplicated the attendance to her movie hall just by doing something for the community, which is building something that had no relation necessarily to showing movies, just bringing the community in. And essentially, all the pictures that you see there are doing the same thing, just spilling over, integrating with the neighborhood, telling the story of what's happening inside of the stores to the sidewalk, and letting the people who walk through to become parts, to become protagonists of that story. Next, please. Next is lights, music, and cookies. Everybody loves a fresh baked cookie. It smells great, it tastes great, and if you offer a cookie for free, people will take it. And this is just one of the things that make storefronts and make the contributions of the businesses that have storefronts an amazing part of the entire downtown. It needs to be kept interesting even when it's closed. This is a store, and I'm going to say that this store is in Midtown Manhattan, but maybe not. And they just keep it super nice when it's closed. The lights are special lights are on, so you can see the display. You can basically see the back of the back of the store, which is great. It entices people. It interests people in what's going on there, and it engages the cookies, of course. Engages the five senses. You smell things, you taste things, you touch things, you see colors, you see textures, and that is how you keep people engaged. Next, please. Also, the path and trajectory. You may or may not be able to see all the way in the back there. There's a trophy. This is a Salvadoran restaurant in Atlantic City. And every year, the Chelsea Economic Development Corporation does this empanada contest. And people go and have empanadas in different restaurants in Atlantic City and then vote. And Sabor Salvadoreño here won, not last year, but the year before. They won the empanada contest. And the trophy is amazing because it's a huge trophy. And they make these little plaques of each winner for each year. And they put it on the trophy. It's a trophy that keeps compounded awesomeness. And so they display proudly. And this is a very colorful background that they have in the store, so in the restaurant. So people walk in and they are immediately attracted to this. And everything stays on brand. If you see to the sides there, everything is Salvadoran arts and craft. And everything is super colorful. And everything is tropical. And everything is about fruits and tastes and smells and colors and textures. And the trophy is displayed very, very proudly. Very important. Also, when the trajectory ends, when the journey through the store ends, send your customers with something. It may be a physical gift that maybe they get a discount for next time. Maybe they get a little candy. Maybe it's a digital gift that they get, I don't know, maybe they become part of a special club, online club that the restaurant keeps. Or maybe it's an emotional gift. This is the transformation that I am offering you. This is how you have been transformed by interacting with my brand. And this is how you can keep that transformation growing. So you send them off with a gift. It's a very, very good way to create engagement. Next, please. The pairings are also very important. When people collaborate in downtowns, the entire downtown starts to elevate. I am all about mentoring. I'm actually writing a new book that the biggest thing about the new book is the strategy that the businesses that are thriving in downtowns and the businesses that are still struggling to thrive, there can be mentoring programs that actually teach people and find ways to share the knowledge. Pairings is one of these ways. Maybe you have a bookstore like my family does, and we bring recommendations from the local coffee shop about, if you are reading this book, this is the coffee that, Ernest Hemingway loved to drink. Maybe not coffee. This is the coffee that Ernest Hemingway loved to drink when he was reading or writing. So this is how you compare it. Or maybe you're selling wellness and self-help books, and you're saying, so if you buy this candle with this specific fragrance, it will make your reading and it will make your wellness journey much more interesting. So you do pairings with different businesses, and everybody elevates everybody, which is great for when we're thinking as the downtown as an entire experience. Next, please. And of course, the teachable skills, the mentoring, showing the craft, showing the pride on the things that people do. Maybe you don't create or produce whatever you're selling, but you can create a great packaging for what you're selling. Maybe you can find a very interesting way of delivering the service that you're offering, and that service delivery becomes a product in and of itself. That builds community, that engages people, that creates a lot of brand loyalty. Next, please. And those were the 5 things that local organizations can tell the small businesses or can help the small businesses implement today. There's also some things that local organizations can start themselves. And this is, of course, from a higher level, because the organizations are working not at the individual level, individual business level, but they're working at the downtown level, which is a different way to see everything. So number one, of course, you can call me. We can create these strategies in these the idea factory, I call it. You can start placemaking projects, and placemaking projects can be very, very large. You can close an entire street and make that street pedestrian for a weekend. You can put maybe make a community dinner in that street while it's closed. Maybe you can paint the asphalt, and have some asphalt art that looks great. Maybe you can have these very, very long, huge table and have hundreds of people and kids and games and everything, and everybody is sharing during a weekend. That can be a big placemaking event. But also, you can put a bench in a corner, and that is a placemaking event because it will make people interact with place. So don't be scared about the size. Don't be scared about the scale. Just the smallest actions can bring massive impact. The event coordination is also important. Whenever you have an event in town, make sure everyone knows about the event. Make sure everyone is excited about the event. Make sure everyone tells their customers about the event. And when the event comes, it will not be an event that people arrive to the theater, go to the event, get out of the theater, and leave. It will be an event that they are not going to the theater. They're going to the downtown. They're going to the main street. They're staying in the main street, and they are interacting with the main street. Yes, they go into the theater for a concert or whatever. When they come out, they are still in the downtown. It is a downtown-wide, a Main Street-wide event, as opposed to an isolated event. So coordination of events, very, very important. The clustering, you will see that businesses that have something to do with each other, they start popping up in different places, sometimes very close geographically. Maybe these are businesses in the same industry that are ancillary business. So maybe you have a psychic reader, and then you have a cabinet of curiosities, and then you have a gift shop that is focused on the occult. So this is a very basic cluster that starts forming. You can coordinate that cluster. You can talk to the business owners and say, hey, you are in the same industry. You're offering something similar. Let's market this unique group of businesses that are in our downtown as look at what our downtown is offering, which brings us to the fifth, which is marketing. We are not in the business of marketing individual businesses. We are in the business of marketing the entire downtown as an experience. Look how awesome our downtown is. And that speaks at a different level. It speaks at a level of, if you come here and do nothing, you will have a fantastic experience, the same as if you come here and go to this specific business. Of course, what we want is for people to come and patronize our businesses. But the better the experience we give them, the better we sell the downtown experience in whole, the better, the more foot traffic, the more customers we are going to have. Next, please. Thank you very much. This was the presentation. I am very happy to answer any questions you might have. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Oh, wait. I have a gift. I have a parting gift for you. Next slide, please.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. If you click on this or if you scan this QR code, it will take you to one of my products, which you can enjoy. This is a card deck that helps local businesses go from idea to storefront. So it helps them set up the business with the vision, with their value proposition, with even the name. And then, of course, creating the vision, creating the experience, creating the brand, creating the signs, designing the store, and also designing some special effects in the store, like the sounds, the smells, the colors, etc., the lights. So yeah, if you go to that, you can have the deck, and that's it.
Thank you. I'll get that link up. Well, I don't know. Do you want to share the link, or you just want people to QR it?
I can send you the link, and you can yeah.
Yeah, because I took it with my phone, so it's on my phone now, not on my computer. So you know.
Yeah.
So I just had a first kind of thought question before I took this down, was that you talked about businesses here, and then you did do this other 5 about downtowns, but I think all of this is also super applicable to the downtowns as is that the downtown association, whoever is whether it's the municipality or an economic development or you know a bid can do this. You can be part of the activating the sidewalk. You can be part of the lights and the cookies and a lot of the trajectory and facilitating the pairings and facilitating people learning from each other. So like I took this as like just like put your downtown hat on as business owners. And really some of this is that I've heard throughout the time from some of, you know, other bids is like, it's the placemaking, it's the public art can really help drive a lot of this. So say you have a part of downtown that's maybe not as popular of your main street, that's not as popular as a different end. Put some public art down there that's Instagrammable and you will draw people down there and you're going to help the businesses. So it's like that trajectory and making sure that people aren't just going to the popular business, that you as a downtown are keeping them moving. So I just kind of wanted to add that little flair there before I stopped sharing.
Yeah.
And then I also wanted to ask a question because it's my prerogative as the as the as the host. Susan, some of the you know, the social stuff, I get very frustrated. I feel like sometimes it's a waste. Like I see the number of clicks or the number of likes and it's so low. And and through my own social media browsing, I know I'm not seeing so much. How do you break the algorithm, right? How do you get before people? Is there a trick or is it all got to be ad buys? You know, is it the consistency in posting? Any tips or tricks to kind of actually, you know, because nobody wants to feel like they're wasting their time, you know,
Yeah,
creating this social atmosphere.
I can, you know, definitely understand where you're coming from, and I think a lot of people have that frustration. Video is king. I mean, if you're doing reels, if you're doing, you just have to do video. I mean, there's just no other, there's no getting around it. Um, you know, not everybody wants to be, you know, an influencer or video star. So you're going to come up with something that's going to be compelling enough to do some videos. That's definitely going to help your exposure. Stories, you know, I think are just prime. You have to be doing stories all the time. You know, there are people that just, they never even look at their posts. They only look at their stories. So those are two, you know, avenues to look at. But you know, I think if you're trying to reach outside again of the, you know, the follower, all the organic folks that have already signed up to get your information. If you want to break out of that, you have to pay for it, and you have to get more aggressive with it. So if you're going to do it just through means of social, then definitely, you know, paid ads are the way to go. Boosted posts, though, still have their place in the universe, believe it or not. You know, I think boosted posts were kind of like phased out for a while there. I see a lot more of them now, and you know, I'm seeing the metrics with some of our clients, and they are still getting a lot of traction. So I wouldn't dismiss them, but yeah, you have to keep with it, Courtney. It's not the kind of thing where you can ever just set it and forget it. And you have to keep looking honestly at your metrics and your analytics to see what is resonating with your main group of people that are, you know, that are following your pages, and seeing what, you know, what's really creating some engagement.
Anybody else have either experiences they want to share in the realm or questions for either Susan or Jaime?
I want to mention too, Courtney, that podcasts are just, I mean, they're being done by everyone now, and they're easy to do, they're fun, and you know, if you can get into that more, that's definitely going to help you get the word out, and they're just fun. And even if it's not you doing the podcast, you know, if you can get other people engaged that are in your association or in your organization, you know, that's a great way to connect with people.
Does that take the form of, do people like interview businesses and kind of it's a spotlight on a business or?
Yes. Yep. And of course you can always use YouTube with it as well. So,
Yeah.
you know, getting that video aspect going too.
Cool. There was a
I
question real quick, Amanda. I just want to say, so before people stop popping off,
sure.
we do record all of these and it will get posted up on the same place where you registered for the webinar, the video. I have to clean it up a little bit, and it'll get posted next week. So that's where you can get the video. Okay, sorry, go Amanda.
No, it's just something we've done a lot with adding seating in different areas of town, and it's made an incredible difference. I mean, the moment you put a chair and a table down, people sit. The thing that I would recommend is if you're going to do so, the types of wood or plastic you get, make sure, because people will move the stuff around, which has been amazing me, but they just create their own space, even though it's all set out beautifully. So to be prepared for that and possibly to work with your Department of Public Works or another group to keep these spaces clean and keep putting them back together. Because for us, it's a daily issue with everything, you know, people leave their Starbucks thing or they whatever else. So they're great additions. We won't do without them, but the maintenance of it is something to consider.
Yeah, I heard similar stories. I worked with Metuchen on their strategic plan, and they've got this imagination alley that actually connects the main street to the back parking lot. And they're like, it's great, it draws people and etc. But people are messy, right? They don't necessarily respect it. And they're like, and we're spending all this time maintaining it. And so it's the pro con of the maintenance versus it actually being a good attractor. So, but yeah, you have to think about that because people are
well,
messy.
especially kids. We have our downtown gets just bombarded by middle schoolers and high schoolers.
Oh God,
2:30, 3 o'clock. The positive thing is they are good for commerce. They're buying coffee everywhere. They're getting pizza, doing all these things. So we don't want to discourage them from being there, but we also kind of need to make it look like they've never been there, if that makes sense.
Anybody else? Stories, questions? Come on, Meg, you got something. She ain't even listen to me.
I have one more thing I could put in. I've worked at various small businesses. One of the things that I think some of the images you were showing, Jaime, I think being able to see a person in the business is key too. Because when they look down there and they see nothing, they're already disengaged and they aren't even sure what's going on and they just keep going. So that visual, whether there's a register or something closer to the front, or at least, you know, a lot of places, they're a one-person show, right? It's a candy place and they're making candy and they're running to the register. Let them see what you're doing. I think is a big one.
Yeah.
Yes, this is
That's
super
actually
important.
Go ahead, Jaime. Sorry, you're the
No,
expert.
I was gonna say that yeah, it's super important. So people see activity, people see something going on there, right? As opposed to hanging a huge "We are open" sign, which doesn't really help, right? You just bring the activity towards the outside. People see what's happening, and people are amazed by the things that somebody making candy, somebody decorating a cake, somebody making a piñata, whatever. You know, it's a really nice thing to see. It creates an interactive, not interactive, an active display, and just puts the business on the map.
Yeah,
I think the communities, you know, if you don't have some type of storefront program, either assistance and or a facade grant, loan, whatever program, I think that's really important. And I think that assistance, sometimes it's the storefront's not that bad, but they don't know how to what's the word, costume it or and or they have, you know, signs all over the window so you can't actually see into the business, right? Even though you might have a sign ordinance that says they're supposed to have, nobody enforces that, and they've got things tagged up all over it, and you know, it's hard for people to see into the business, and it kind of makes the street look cluttered, so it's a double whammy. So you know, I think that is a great role of bids to kind of provide that technical assistance, that education to their business owners of what's successful and what is actually, you know, hurting you from an aesthetic standpoint. I want to thank Jaime and Susan so much. Great information. Again, the video will be posted, the PowerPoint will be posted. And we'll get some of these links up there as well. Just, check back to the website next week, and it'll all be there. And thank you so much for spending your Friday lunch hour with us today.